All right, what up, what up, what up? We got my main man, Coach Rock here from East Carolina. Excited for this exclusive. They are 7-1, off to a hot start. Many people may not have projected that, but if you know Coach Rock, anything he's associated with, they're gonna figure out how to win. So, Coach, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Doing good, man. Good, good. Getting ready for the holidays, man. I know you guys just got a good win yesterday, and 1-1 in conference, 7-1 on the year. Talk a little bit about the team and how you guys have got off to such a hot start.
Well, I mean, in order to win, especially at this level, you got to have a couple of things. One, you have to have a really good head coach, and Joe Dooley has proven that he's a proven winner. The second thing is you got to have good players, and we've been very fortunate. The guys that we recruited, we've been able to retain those guys. Uh, they really care about one another. They understand what our goal was from day one. Sometimes that's hard because when you're at a place that hasn't had a ton of success, you're pitching a dream, and those guys bought in and they believed and they came here to do something. And we're starting year three, and we're a veteran group. We've been together, and they're playing very well.
Yeah, playing extremely well, Coach. Talk a little bit about the turnaround. You guys got the job. Um, Always hard. You guys are in year three, so you guys are getting it going like you hope to do in usually year three. Talk about how the challenges has been and just kind of what you guys have come in there to set and establish.
Well, first of all, when you get a job, uh, most of the time it's late. So recruiting's hard right off the bat. Um, what we were able to do, we signed the first November signing period. We signed 3 guys, and in that spring we signed 8, and that's a lot. That's 11 guys when you have 13 scholarship players on your team. We brought 2 guys back, and we signed 11 new players. So I think last year. We were very competitive. We were in a lot of games, lost a lot of close games, but those guys gained valuable experience within the league, within the level, and they learned a lot about each other. I also think that when you have the number of returning guys that we had coming back, uh, they already know what Joe Dooley wants. They know what his style of play is. They know what we're trying to accomplish, and I think that's a lot easier.
Absolutely, absolutely. Talk about the 11 guys you're able to sign. Again, if people know you, they know how you get down as far as recruiting. There's nobody better. There may be some that can compete to be just as good, but there's none better. So talk about that class. I believe you guys had a nationally ranked recruiting class that year. Talk about recruiting and just what is it to sell as far as East Carolina? How did you get those guys to buy into maybe a place in the American that isn't looked at as attractive or as sexy and had a nationally ranked recruiting class?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's a beautiful campus. A lot of green grass, uh, beautiful buildings. Our facilities are first class. Great, great weight room. Uh, Very good practice facility. The arena seats about 7,000, and all of our facilities are together. We have our own strength coach. We have our own academic advisor. We have our own nutritionist. We have everything that a top level program has to offer. And East Carolina has a very good reputation nationally and throughout the state as far as the educational value. So, great academic institution, unbelievable facilities, uh, beautiful campus, and Greenville is a very, very good place to live. A lot of nice people, all the restaurants, a mall here, everything that you need to be comfortable is right here in this area, and it's a very safe place to live. So I think those guys enjoyed that. Also, their living situation, those guys were able to move into an apartment building that was being constructed their last year wherever they were, if they
Yeah,
were in high school or if they were in junior college. So it's unique in that sense that when they moved into where they live, nobody had ever lived there before,
right.
and it's very very nice. all the amenities, washer, dryer, dishwasher, refrigerator, microwave, really nice living area, hardwood floors, their own bathroom in their bedroom uh, with, their own closet and a desk. I mean, it's a really, really nice place to live.
I love it. So I've known you, Coach, and you've been phenomenal to me in this business. I can't say enough about that. And you've been that way to a lot of people. So when it comes to recruiting, I know this much. Like if you're involved, whether you are at Virginia Tech, South Florida, Lamar, a lot of great things happen when you're involved. Memphis. So talk about this. I know your reputation as far as in the junior college level recruiting, high school, whether it's Texas, whether it's other places that I've been. Your name and your relationships, even when I'm on the road with you at a junior college event. I remember in Fort Worth recently. I mean, there's guys coming up to you, hugging you from way back when you recruited players and how you took care of them. So just talk a little bit about your kind of legacy, 35 years in the business. You've been a head coach. Talk about your journey. Talk about how it is that you've been able to have such impactful relationships along the way.
Well, to begin with, um, everybody's story is different. Some coaches are former players. I wasn't a player. I was a manager. I was a student manager. So when you start at the bottom uh, and you really pay attention, you learn everything from the ground up about how to run a program. And, I wanted to be a coach. I knew I wanted to be around basketball and coach. So I tried to learn as much as I possibly could. I think uh, recruiting is the number one thing to running a program. You got to recruit the right guys. They got to fit into what you do, um, and those guys have to have a good experience. They need to come here and develop as players. They need to develop as people. They need to get their degree. I think that's one thing that I'm most proud of is during my 5 years as a head coach, um, we were able to graduate 19 out of 20 seniors, and I think that means more than anything else. Um,
Absolutely.
you,
Absolutely.
the other part of it is I have 3 children, and what I've always tried to do, even before I had kids, was I knew that parents were entrusting their greatest gift to us, their kids. And when you do that, I think there's a huge sense of responsibility. And what I've always tried to do is treat each player as my own kid, as they were my family, and treat them how I would want my children to be treated. And I think that's why the relationships that were built on the right stuff. If I went in and recruited a coach's player, they knew that what I said was going to be the truth. They knew that I was going to take care of them to the best of my ability, within the NCAA rules. They knew that they were going to develop as a player. They knew they were going to develop off the floor, and they knew that I was going to watch out for them and make sure that they were doing the right things.
Yeah, I would love to hear more. And obviously, I know that much about you from knowing you, but I'd love to hear more about specifically this turnaround. We'll talk more about the team in just a little bit, but this is a job that, again, maybe people don't appreciate the challenges at each place, or maybe people don't appreciate things about each particular place. What's some things about East Carolina that you would like, either with the job you guys have done, of course, humbly speaking, um, or just the place itself that you'd like people to just kind of know and just be more aware of?
Well, like I said, I think the number one thing is it's a great place to live. The people in this city of Greenville are very nice people. They're good people. It's a very safe environment. I really enjoy living here. We're 82 miles from the beach, the Outer Banks. It's beautiful. The weather is mild. The summers are great. The winters are mild. Um, it's just it's a good place to live. It's a good place to be. The baseball program is a nationally ranked program. The football program has been uh, unbelievable, and they're trying to get back to that right now. The women's basketball program, they're 2-0 in league play with 3-0 with 2 road wins. So I think all of our programs are striving to be championship level programs. I think the struggle or the fight is that you're in such a competitive league with such good programs that it's really hard to move up within the
Right.
leagues
Right.
because you have to get players that are good enough to compete with University of Houston
Right.
and Memphis and
Right.
SMU and Cincinnati. You know, those programs are historical programs that have had NBA players and went to Final Fours and have won a lot. So, you know, you're in new territory. But again, you know, just like when we went to Virginia Tech had been in last place uh, 4 straight years. Our first year, we were in last place again. And our second year, we won 20 games and went to the second round of the NIT. And that was a big deal
Right.
because, you
Right.
know, we had a watch party for the NIT. And there was hundreds of people there because they were so excited. And in year 3, NCAA, year 4, NCAA. And then I came here, and what would have been year 5, they went to the Sweet 16.
Yep.
So, you know, you have to step by step understand what you're doing and what you're trying to do. You can't go from last place to first place.
Yep.
Okay, so in the ACC, it was, can we get from last place into the top 7?
Mm.
Because if we get in the top 7,
Then
we're
you got a
going
chance
to
to
the
go to the tournament.
NCAA
Yep.
tournament every
Yep.
year.
Yep.
And here, it's not the top 7, but it might be the top 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
If you get in the top 4 or 5 in this league,
Yep.
you're either going to the NCAA tournament or the NIT.
Yep.
And it's a step-by-step process. You know, it was interesting because some of the post-game interviews from yesterday, a couple of different players said, hey, we're here to go to the NCAA tournament.
Mm.
And that's, you know, hey, man, y'all are playing good. You look like you're having fun. You know, what's the deal? The deal is we know what the plan is, and the plan is to go to the NCAA tournament, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yep. Yep. That's what you're there to do. You talked about the players a little bit. Let's talk about the players. Tell us a little bit about the roster, a little bit about their chemistry, and again, bringing so many new guys in, 11 guys in the first class. Now that's what you're in year 2 with those guys.
Yes.
So now you have some gel. Now you have some cohesion. Talk a little bit about the roster and just kind of what makes those guys who they are.
Well, I think first of all, one of the returning guys is Jaden Gardner, and Jaden has been one of the top players in this league for the last 2.5 years. He is a legitimate first-team all-conference player. He also has a chance to be a player of the year. I think I'm not sure about last year, but I think he led the league in scoring, and I think he was second in rebounding. So whenever you have a guy that, you know, his position, he's a 4-man, that you can pencil in 20 points and 10 rebounds every night, then you have something to build around. I think because he's such a good guy, because he's such a hard worker, you know, his deal was he wanted guys to play with him that could help him get to the NCAA tournament. So I think he appreciates what we did more than anything else.
Yep.
And I think the other guys were attracted to, okay, man, he's already there. We can come in and contribute what we do and make him better, and it'll make us better. And I think they're extremely unselfish, you know, very rarely. And you know this because you coach.
Yep.
And, you know, guys don't like to be taken out of a game. Nobody does, right?
Yep.
No players like to come out of a game. Every player wants to play 40 minutes a game.
Right. Right.
Okay. But last year you could see that guys would come out of the game and they may be mad at us for taking them out of the game. And while you're trying to talk to them, the guy that went in the game for them, they cut you off to wave a towel or cheer for that guy. They're mad they came out of the game, but they're cheering the guy on that went in for them.
Yep.
And if you watched our game yesterday and the way the benches are set up, and if you watch us every game, hey, there's guys that don't even sit down during the game. They stand up the whole game. And the stuff that they're saying is unbelievable. I mean, it's almost like having coaches on the bench.
Right.
I mean, they're calling out the plays. They're telling them how to guard. They're telling them to make the extra pass. I mean, they're actually coaching each other, and you know that's extremely rare. And
Absolutely.
those guys care about one another, and they care about winning.
Do you think them all coming together in a similar class help build that coach, or is it something that you guys did strategically to do that?
So I couldn't understand you. Say that again.
Sorry, do you think them coming in the same class had something to do with that, or is it something that you guys did intentionally to help build that, or is it just kind of coincidence?
Well, I think this. I think that when we were bringing those guys in to visit, we were bringing 4 guys and their families in together.
Yep.
So they got a chance to tour the facilities and meet everybody and do these meetings together and communicate with each other. Hey, man, I really, really like it. Are you coming? Those guys stayed in touch with each other after their visits. They knew they were coming, and they really got to know one another that way. And it was a good experience for them. They felt like they could come here together and make a difference.
Yep. No, that's awesome. I can think back, and I refer to a place well in Lamar when we were working to build that thing and turn it with Coach Price. We had a similar kind of thing going with guys coming on the same visit, so they saw the vision together. So I know how important that is. Talk about your head coaching time at Lamar and how much that helps you now and at Virginia Tech to do such a great job as an associate head coach, because you excelled at the highest level as far as being an associate coach, helping lead a program like Virginia Tech, who wasn't really prominent in the ACC at all, and then now doing the same thing that you did at Virginia Tech as an associate coach, doing the same thing now at a place in East Carolina. So talk a little bit about what's your head coaching experience, how that's helped you to what you're doing now.
Well, it's a what have you done for me lately business. You know that.
Yep.
And, a lot of people, and it could just be me, a lot of people don't act like they don't even know that you've been a head coach. Some people, the people that are basketball junkies that keep up with it, they know.
Right.
And the thing that I'm most proud of as a head coach was first, like I told you, graduating 19 out of 20 players. When you're in charge of a program and you're stressing academics and education, I think that's the number one thing. I think the second thing was in year 2, we were able to win a conference championship, the first conference championship there in 30 years. And it's been about 11 years since I've been there and since that championship, and they haven't won another conference championship. So that's very, very hard to do. At that time, we had won 6 straight road games in the league. That was a league record. I think we won 12 straight league games. At that time, that was a league record. I think that year we averaged in the high 80s. That was like in the top 10 in the nation in scoring. We also led the league in all 5 years that I was the head coach of Lamar in attendance. Averaged almost 5,500 fans a game.
Right.
We had I think a high crowd of 8,600. We were able to beat some really good people. We beat BYU in overtime when they were a top 25 team.
Yep.
We beat Texas Tech at home. We were able to beat Tulane, Rice, Louisiana Tech, Ohio U. Had some really, really nice wins. And, so I felt extremely lucky and proud. I think that when you move from an assistant coach to a head coach, it's almost like 2 different jobs.
Right.
And so I thought that we had success. I thought we had success on the floor and off the floor.
Yep.
We raised a lot of money. We did a lot of good things in the community. Every Thanksgiving, me and the players would serve food to the needy in the area. I was from there. We built our summer camps to an all-time high. We were doing almost 600 to 700 campers a summer.
Right.
Just really trying to help the community play an exciting brand of basketball and be successful.
Right.
And I think we were. And the year that I left and went to South Florida, we went to the second round of the NCAA tournament. We were 6 points away from going to the Sweet 16 at another hard job.
Right.
And that same year, Lamar won the conference tournament
yep.
and went to the NCAA tournament. And
yep. Which is the players that you recruited? They were all seniors.
Yes, they were. And I'll never forget this. The president of South Florida was a woman, and we had a watch party. And when we got in, the first thing she did, everybody's jumping around, they're hugging each other.
Right.
We were in the old Big East, which was the Big East / ACC.
Right.
Add West Virginia. So you're talking Georgetown, Notre Dame, Villanova, Cincinnati, Rutgers, Seton Hall,
Marquette.
UConn. Some Pittsburgh, some monsters.
Right.
Louisville. And when she came to hug me, she said, "Well, Coach, I think you're the only coach in America that has 2 teams in the NCAA tournament."
That's awesome.
It kind of caught me off guard. I said, "Yeah, you're right." And we ended up both going to Dayton, which was kind of weird. It was strange because we played the first game and they played the second game.
Yep.
At the same site. So your practices, or they were at practice, and when they came off the floor, then we went on the floor.
Right.
So I'll never forget this either. So the day we went to practice, I hadn't seen those guys. I'd recruited all of them, knew their families, been in their homes. And when I was recruiting them to Lamar, I was telling them, we're going to go to the NCAA tournament. Yep. That's our goal. Our goal is to go to the NCAA tournament. And that was part of the reason why they came. They knew they were going to graduate.
Right.
They wanted to play in the NCAA tournament. And so we're lined up in the hall because, you're on the clock.
Yep.
You got 60 minutes from the time you pick up the first ball. And when the horn goes off, you have to clear the floor and the next team comes on.
Right.
And we're in the hall lined up. I hadn't seen all those guys in almost a year.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a ball comes in the stands in the view of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I think the first person was Donley Minor. I think he was the first guy. And he went to get the ball. And when he looked up the tunnel, he saw me. And he yelled to the other guys. He said, "Hey, Rock's in the tunnel." And somebody was calling in. Anyway,
no, you're great. I can hear you now.
Every one of those guys came up. So the AD was there, the deputy AD was there, and all our players. And every one of those guys that I had recruited came up the tunnel, gave me a hug, and said, "Thank you." And then turned around and jogged off. And the AD and the deputy AD looked at me and said, "I've never seen anything like that."
Wow.
And, so, I was so happy for those guys because, the only thing they said was, they said, "Coach, only thing wrong with it is you're not here with us."
Right.
And, that meant a lot.
Right. And it meant a lot for them to show that. That's real emotion. You know what I mean? They know how much you meant to them to get to that point. And I think it goes back to what we talked about with relationships. I can talk endlessly, and we could do a whole podcast on how you've been for me, just as a person who I didn't work for you, but you treated me like family, even though I worked at the school you worked at after you were there, but you treated me like I worked for you, and you still do. So I think those players probably feel even more than that because they actually played for you and got recruited for you. So that's an awesome story, and how coincident or how destiny that you guys ended up in the same place. That's an awesome story. I love that you shared that.
I was so happy for those guys and their families, and after our game we played Cal and we beat them, and I think they played Vermont, and every one of those guys whose family was going to be there, they told me, they said, hey, my mom's going to be here, my mom and dad's going to be here, they really want to see you. And
Right.
they came down to the rail when our game ended, and I got a chance to say hello to
Wow.
Charlie Harper's mom and dad, Anthony Miles's mother,
Yep.
Stan Brown's mom and dad, uh, Donnelly Miner's mom and dad. I mean, I got a chance to say hello to everybody, and it was really good.
Wow. Wow. I love that story, Coach. I'm glad it worked out that way.
I am too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell us real quick. So Anthony Miles, you mentioned he played some professional ball. Um, Mike James played in the NBA, was on that team, was an NBA player recruited to Lamar. You've coached a lot of good ones. I think Kendrick Perkins, who's now in the media as well, you signed at one point in time when he was at Memphis. He's from Beaumont. So talk a little bit about recruiting and just some of the guys you've been able to coach and recruit, if you don't mind.
Well, I mean, I can go right down the list. You never forget when I was the manager at Lamar. We had Adrian Caldwell, and Adrian Caldwell played in the league for about 14 years. He's one of my best friends. Uh, and then when I went to Centenary, we had Larry Robinson, who played about 12 or 13 years. Both of those guys played for the Rockets at the same time, and I was fortunate enough to go to a couple of games and see both those guys. Uh, I believe both of them have championship rings. Then when I went to Tulane, we had Gerald Honeycutt. He played in the NBA. When I went to the University of Wyoming, we had Josh Davis. When I went to the University of Memphis, there was a bunch of them. DeJuan Wagner, Antonio Birch, Rodney Carney, Earl Barron, Sean Banks. Uh, I mean, there so many. We signed Quintel Woods. We signed Amari Stoudemire. We signed Kendrick Perkins. Uh, a lot of NBA guys. And then when I went to Lamar, Kenny Dawkins was borderline. He was only 5'11", 155 pounds, but pound for pound, he's one of the best players I ever coached. And excuse me, I think he had tryouts with Dallas, Houston, and maybe even New Orleans. And he ended up making the Rockets G League team that year. And then he ended up playing overseas. And then we had a chance to get Mike James. We also had signed Michael Kaiser, who didn't end up coming because after I left, he asked out of his letter. He played in the NBA. So if I could have stayed at Lamar, we would have had Mike James, who was a senior, who was an NBA player, and we would have had Michael Kaiser, who was a freshman 7-footer, who was an NBA player. So just been blessed in so many ways. At Virginia Tech, I think Justin Robinson is with the Sixers now. Justin Bibbs was with the Celtics for a while. Ahmed Hill was with Charlotte and Phoenix. Zach Leday played summer league with the Atlanta Hawks. He's now in NBA Europe. So right now, 2 of the top 5 players in NBA Europe are Mike James and Zach Leday, who I had a chance to recruit and coach. So, we're looking to do the same thing here at East Carolina. Develop these guys and help them get to the next level. An interesting story about Mike James. You may think this is funny.
Yeah.
But what happened was we needed to sign some really good players. We needed to have a good class.
Yep.
And we needed a point guard. And I went back to the assistants and I said, who is the very best point guard, high school, prep school, or junior college that's still available? This is in the spring. And Sylvie Dominguez, who works with me here at East Carolina, came in my office and he said, "Coach, it's Mike James. He's leading the nation in scoring." I said, "And he's still available?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, what's the deal?" He said, "Well, I'm not sure." He said, "He goes to Eastern Arizona Junior College in Thatcher, Arizona. That's out in the middle of nowhere." I said,
Right.
"Where's he from?" He said, "He's from Portland, Oregon." And I said, "Well, who's recruiting him?" He said, "Well, everybody in the country, has dipped in and dipped out." He said, "But I think we could get him on a visit. And if he has a good visit, I think we might have a shot." And I said, "Well," I said, "Sylvie, do me a favor. Get him on the phone and bring it in my office. I want to talk to him, and we'll start setting up the visit today." He says, "Okay." So he gets him on the phone. He comes in my office. This is a true story. You're not going to believe this. And if you ever get a chance to talk to Mike James, he will verify this story.
Yeah, I talk to Mike sometimes. I'm like,
Okay. Well, when you talk to Mike, he will verify this story. So I said, "Mike, this is Coach Rock, Lamar University." He said, "Coach, are you the head coach?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Is Lamar Division One?" I said, "Yes, it is." He said, "Okay." I said, "Well, look, Mike, I know you're being recruited by a lot of people." He said, "Coach, a lot of people are talking to me, but guys have set up visits and then they've canceled. Nobody's doing what they said they were going to do, and I'm really getting tired of this." I said, "Well, okay." I said, "This is what we're going to do. We have your transcript. We're going to set up a visit as soon as possible. We're going to bring you out, let you look at everything, and let you see if you like it. And if you like it, we want to sign you."
yeah,
He says, "Well, let me ask you this. Are you offering me?" I said, "Absolutely." He said, "Well, this is what I want you to do. Don't worry about setting up the visit. I'm going to give you the fax number to the coach's office. I want you to fax the scholarship papers, and I'm going to sign them and send them back."
I
And he
love it.
said, "I don't need to see the campus." He said, "I'll see the campus when I get there."
How about that?
It was about a 13-minute phone conversation.
How about that?
And so I said, "Okay." So when I hang up the phone, I go back to Sylvia and I said, "Look,"
There.
I said, "Sylvia, I don't have the time to explain." I said, "But scrap the visit. Here's the fax number. Get the scholarship papers typed up and fax them to him. He's going to sign them and send them right back." So it was about a 13-minute phone conversation, and it was about a 5-minute signing situation, and we signed them.
How about that? I love it. I love it. I'm sure that's never happened any other time in your career.
That was the easiest NBA player ever signed.
Ever in the history.
Ever.
I love it. I love it. Talk a little bit about Coach, real quick before we let you go, man. Talk a little bit about legacy, about what you would want people to know about you that maybe they don't know. Because the hard part about this business is people don't always get to know the real you, like maybe I have, and people that have worked for you, worked with you. So talk a little bit about maybe what people may think that you would just want to know. Hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. This is what my legacy, what my career's been about. This is what I hope the legacy to leave behind. If you don't mind, touch on that, and then we'll end with a funny story.
Well, I think first and foremost, the thing that I've tried to do is help as many people as I possibly could.
Absolutely.
I think that's the way I was raised by my mom and my dad, uh, to be a good person, to be a good citizen, but to always try to treat other people like you would want to be treated. And I think the thing that I've always tried to do is be honest, tell the truth, and help as many people as I could. Help my head coaches, help the people that I work with become better, and most definitely help the players become the best that they can be on and off the floor. And I've had a lot of people ask me, "Hey, how have you been so successful in recruiting?" And really and truly, it's by telling the truth. Just being open and honest, and trying to build relationships with people, and let them know that you know wherever I was, it was a good place.
You there? Coach, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I heard you say wherever it was a good place. We got cut off. Go from there.
I just wanted people to trust me and understand that wherever we were going, that was a good place, and that I was going to help them be as successful as they could be on and off the floor.
Right.
And
right.
that they could, and that I think the most important thing for me is that people can count on me. You know,
Yep.
if it's my players, they can count on me being there. If it's my head coach, he can count on me doing a good job. If it's the people that I work with, that I got their back. And that's what I've tried to do.
No, absolutely. I think you've done it at a high level, Coach. So before we go, man, you guys are 7-1. You guys are kicking butt. Excited to see how you continue to do in the season. I'm not surprised with you being there. Tell us one funny story before we let you go.
Okay, well, my funny story, since this is your podcast, is going to be about you. Okay, so when I want to say, and correct me if any of this is not correct. Okay. And I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know your name, and you were at Abilene Christian. Is that correct?
Probably so.
Okay, so I didn't know your name, but I'd seen you on the road. I'd spoke to you on the road. People had told me that you were really good and that you were a good guy. And, you know, we would say hello, but again, I don't think I knew your name.
Yep.
And Tick Price called me. He said, man, I need to hire an assistant coach, and this is a very important hire. And I said, okay, well, what are you looking for? And he told me. And I said, what about the guy at Abilene Christian? He said, and he said your name.
Yeah.
And I said, be honest with you, Coach, I don't know his name. He says, well, you know, I've been talking to him. What do you think about him? And I said, I think he's really good. I said, you know, again, I don't know his name, but I've seen him around, and I've seen him in gyms, and everybody says nothing but good things about him. I said, I think that would be a good hire.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing, I'm not saying, I don't think that I had anything to do with it. But I think if I would have said, hey, he's not very good, he may have thought about it. But, you know, I think he was thinking about you. And when I brought you up, it just kind of validated what he was thinking.
Absolutely.
And it was the right hire, because I think you did a great job.
Yeah, thank you. We got it turned. It wasn't in the best position when we got it. Similar to what you guys are doing, but we got it turned. I think Coach is on an average of 20 wins a year, and at one point had graduated 16 out of 16 seniors after our first 4 years. So followed in your footsteps as well. And I can't say enough about having you on today, Coach. I appreciate you even before you knew me, how you treated me and how you were to me, and I appreciate you even more now. You've been tremendous to me and my family. I just can't say enough about how excited I am for you to get that thing going, and excited to support from afar as always.
I really appreciate you having me on here. And the last thing I want to say is, you know how I feel about you. You know how I feel about your family, because of all the private conversations that we've had on the road and on the phone. I'm really, really happy for you that you're able to do this, spend time with your wife, spend time with your kids. The last thing that I want to say is, the reason why East Carolina is where it is today is because of Joe Dooley. And Joe Dooley is a very, very good basketball coach. He's a really good person. He recruited me to come here, and without him recruiting me, I wouldn't be here. He's treated me with nothing but respect, and without him, there would be no 7-1 start. There wouldn't be the players that are here today. There wouldn't be the coaches that are here today. So, you know, he's going to get my vote at the end of the year for National Coach of the Year and American Coach of the Year. But I want everybody out there, especially if there's players out there that want to play for a good person and a very good basketball coach at a place that is going to be an up and comer. Joe Dooley is the real deal.
Yep. No, that's awesome. I wouldn't expect it any other way, and I'll say he's the real deal because he was smart enough to hire you. His best recruit, hands down, was you because you helped recruit all those other guys, help his program be a winner. So thanks so much, Coach. Love you, man. Have a great holiday, and you always have much improvement, 1,000,000% from here.
I appreciate you, man. Love you back.
All right, Coach. Have a good one, man.
Yep, you too.